Hello everybody, welcome to jurycentral.com online classes for law exams. So today I will be dealing with you the top judgments on environmental law, both landmark and recent ones. So let us start. So the first judgment is Indian Council for Enviro Legal Action versus Union of India and others. So this is the first judgment in which the principle of polluter pays was applied, and it actually means, so in this case Justice Dalveer Bhandari determined that reversing the imbalances caused to the ecology is the part and parcel of the industrial process that what has been held in this case. Thus the financial responsibility of taking prevention and controlling measures for the pollution cost should rest upon the industry which caused pollution. So let us understand what its meaning. The polluter pay principle essentially holds the polluter liable for the pollution caused to the environment. The polluter is liable for every damage caused to the environment. So this is the meaning of polluter pays principle. Then let us see the facts. The facts of the case are Indian Council for Enviro Legal Action versus Union of India. In this case, an environmentalist organization brought into notice the sufferings and woes of the inhabitants of a small village called Bichri in Udaipur district in Rajasthan. An industrial complex primarily involved in manufacturing chemicals was located in the village Bichri. The emission of concentrated sulfuric acid and aluminium sulfate from one of industry Hindustan Agrochemical Limited caused discomfort in the lives of the villagers. The effluents from the factory were very difficult to deal with as it was refractory in nature. Many of the chemicals percolated into the soil, polluting the groundwater and aquifers underneath. The polluter water even destroyed the standing crop. As a result, the villagers had to bear the brunt of barren agricultural land. So against all of these issues, the petitioner approached the Supreme Court to seek action against the damages caused to the villagers. Then the next case is Rural Litigation and Entitlement Kendra and others versus State of Uttar Pradesh and others, and this case is also popularly known as Dehradun Valley litigation. So let us see, in Mussoorie Hills range, Himalayas, the activity of quarrying was being carried out. Limestone was extracted by blasting out the hills with dynamite. This practice has also resulted in cave-ins and slumping because the mines dug deep into the hillsides, which is an illegal practice per se. So the case was instituted against the illegal quarrying in the hills of Himalayan range. Due to lack of vegetation, many landslides occurred which killed villagers and destroyed their homes, cattle and agricultural land. It was contended by the mining operator that the case should be dismissed by the courts and the issue should be left to the administrative authorities. But the court actually rejected this argument made by the respondents and actually ordered the adoption of the Environment Protection Act in this case. Let us see further. After a year, the Supreme Court of India has held that pollution caused by quarries adversely affects the health and safety of people, and hence the same should be stopped. The right to wholesome environment is a part of right to life and personal liberty guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. So this one is important. So the Supreme Court has actually held and observed that the right to wholesome environment is a part of right to life and personal liberty guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. This case was the first requiring the Supreme Court to balance environment and ecological integrity against the industrial demands on the forest resources, and the court issued the following directions in which it directed that the mining shall be terminated and by the court and would be given priority for leases in new areas open to limestone mining. Orders that the Eco Task Force of the Central Government of Environment reclaim and reforest the area damaged by mining, with that workers displaced by mine closure be given priority for jobs with Eco Task Force operations in the region. So that's what the Supreme Court has given directions. Then the next case is Municipal Council Ratlam versus Shri Vardhichand and others. Let us see. The facts was, Ratlam is a city in the state of Madhya Pradesh in India. Some of the residents of the municipality filed a complaint before the subdivisional magistrate alleging that the municipality is not constructing proper drains, and there is stench and stink caused by the exertion by nearby slum dwellers, and there was nuisance to the petitioners. The Sub-Divisional Magistrate Ratlam instructed the municipality to prepare a proper development plan within 6 months of the complaint submitted by the residents of Ratlam city. Afterwards, the municipality came in appeal before the Apex Court of India and alleged that they do not have proper financial support as well as proper funds to comply with the directions given by the Sub-Divisional Magistrate of Ratlam city. So that was the contention of the municipality before the Supreme Court, that they are having a lack of funds in complying with the directions given by the Sub-Divisional Magistrate. So what the Supreme Court held? So it actually instructed the Municipal Council of Ratlam to immediately follow order given by the Sub-Divisional Magistrate, among other orders like fulfill their obligation by providing adequate number of public laterals, that means public toilets for specifically men and women separately, along with to provide water supply and scavenging service in morning as well as in evening to ensure proper sanitation. It was held by Supreme Court that pollution-free environment is an integral part of right to life under Article 21. That's what the Supreme Court said. The court further held that in case municipality feel the need of resources, then it will raise its demands from the state governments by elitist projects, request loans from the state government from the savings of public health expenditure to fulfill the resource requirement for the implementation of court order. So this has been a landmark judgment in which the Supreme Court has actually directed the municipal corporations to comply by the directions of the Supreme Court in maintaining a healthy environment for the citizens. Then the next case is MC Mehta versus Union of India, also known as Shriram Factory gas leak case. So let us understand. So on the midnight of 2nd of March, 2nd or 3rd of December 1984, there was a leakage of poisonous gas methyl isocyanide from Union Carbide Corporation India Limited, located at Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. This disaster was described as world's worst industrial disaster, as it claimed the lives of 2 to 60 people and caused serious injuries with a variety of complications to about 6 lakhs of people. When the matter was pending before the Supreme Court, another gas disaster took place from Shriram Foods Fertilizer Industry, and it happened just 1 year after the incident of Bhopal gas leak case. MC Mehta, a leading legal practitioner, Supreme Court filed a public litigation interest petition under Article 32 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court, through P.N. Bhagwati, Chief Justice, keeping in mind the 1-year-old great gas disaster of Bhopal, evolved a new rule. So this one is important. This absolute liability has been evolved by the then Chief Justice of India, P.N. Bhagwati. And the court laid down following principles. What the management Shriram Foods was required to deposit in the court ₹20 lakh as security for payment of compensation to the victims. A green belt to 1 to 5 kilometer width around such industry should be provided. The court directed the central government to set up an environmental court consisting of a judge and 2 experts as members to assist the judge in deciding the environmental cases, and pursuant to that, the Government of India passed the National Environment Tribunal Act 1995 to deal with the cases of Environment Pollution Act, which has now been replaced by National Green Tribunal Act 2011. Then MC Mehta versus Union of India Ganga pollution case. This one is very important in 1985, and this case has also been repeated in the CLAT PG exam of the year 2021. In 1985, MC Mehta filed a writ petition in the nature of mandamus to prevent this leather tanneries from disposing of the domestic and industrial waste and affluents in the Ganga river. In this petition, the petitioner requested the court to request the Supreme Court to restrain the respondents from releasing effluents into the Ganga river till the time they incorporate certain treatment plants for the treatment of toxic effluents to arrest water pollution. So this has been the petition made by MC Mehta, in which it has actually sought directions to prevent the leather tanneries from operating its industrial projects around the Ganga river, as it was actually disposing the industrial effluents into the Ganga river, thereby polluting it. The court highlighted the importance of certain provisions in our constitutional framework which enshrine the significance and the need for protecting our environment. Article 48 provides that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. Article 51A of the Constitution of India imposes a fundamental duty on every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife. The court stated the importance of the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, the Water Act. So the court actually highlighted the importance of these provisions in our Constitution of India. And in its historic judgment in 1987, the court ordered the closure of a number of polluting tanneries near Kanpur. The court held that just like an industry which cannot pay minimum wages to its workers cannot be allowed to exist, a tannery which cannot set up a primary treatment plant cannot be permitted to continue to be in existence. The court ordered the tanneries to establish primary treatment plants, if not secondary treatment plants. That is a minimum which the tanneries should do in the circumstances of the case. So the next case is Vellore Citizens Welfare Forum versus Union of India. And let us see the facts first. The petition was filed against the excessive pollution caused by river Palar due to the release of pollutants by the tanneries and other industry in the state of Tamil Nadu. So the facts are actually similar to the case of the earlier one, the MC Mehta versus Union of India Ganga pollution case. So it was actually against the excessive pollution caused to the river Palar due to the tanneries which are operating around this river, and they are actually releasing the effluents into the river, thereby polluting it. Later, the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University Research Center, Vellore, discovered that approximately 35,000 hectares of agricultural land have turned either entirely or partially unsuitable for cultivation. This is one of the landmark cases whereby the Supreme Court critically analyzed the relationship between environment and industrial development. So let us see. So in this case, the Supreme Court has also applied the principle of polluter pays. The court, conveying its judgment in favor of the petitioner, guided all the tanneries to submit a whole of rupees 10,000 as fine in the collector's office. The court additionally coordinated the state of Tamil Nadu to grant Mr. MC Mehta with an entirety of rupees 50,000 as gratefulness towards its endeavours for the security of the environment. Then the next important case is AP Pollution Control Board versus Professor M.B. Naidu retired and others. In this case, the respondent industries ought to be establishing a new factory for the production of vegetable oils in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Respondent industry purchased a piece of land in Indore village named Pedashpur. Within the range of the village, the reservoirs that provides drinking water for the 5 million of people around the area, and the issues were as the validity of the order passed by the AP Pollution Control Board, the correctness of the orders of the appellate authority under section 28 of the Water Act 1974. So these are the issues raised before it, and the validity of the exemption granted for the operation of the 10-kilometer rule. In what ways that the technological aspects of the environmental law cases ought to be adjudicated. So this has been the issues which has been raised in this case. So let us understand. In the impute judgment, the Supreme Court relied on the judicial doctrine of the precautionary pays principle. Now, so this one is important. So the precautionary principle, because in this case, the Supreme Court has the first time recognized precautionary principle. And what it said, let us understand. The precautionary principle, as its very name suggests, needs the authorities to in charge to anticipate, prevent and attack the reason behind environmental pollution. The court in the present judgment directed that the authority to be appointed under section 3 clause 3 of the Environment Protection Act 1986 that shall implement the precautionary principle and also the polluter pays principle. Further, it had been discovered that the new conception envisages that when a risk of great or irreversible damage to the environment is perceived, the burden of proof lies on the one that is proposing to undertake the activity in question. So this is the main crux of precautionary principle. So precautionary principle actually casts a responsibility on the the person who is actually going ahead with a project and which has by any means the anticipation of doing a great harm to the environment, then he needs to take care of, he needs to take the precaution before moving ahead with such projects, and he also needs to see that his conduct cannot in any way damage to the environment. Then the next case is MC Mehta versus Kamal Nath and others. The Indian Express published an article reporting that a private company, Span Motors Private Limited, the motor company owner of Span Resorts, had floated an ambitious project called Span Club. Kamal Nath, who was the Minister of Environment and Forest, had direct links with this company. The company encroached upon 27.12 bighas of land, which also included forest land. The land was regularized and subsequently leased out to the company on 11th of April 1994. So this petition has been institution by taking the cognizance of an article which has been published on the Indian Express, in which some linkages has been established between the then Minister of Environment and Forest called Mr. Kamal Nath and this Span Motors Private Limited, and this issue was relating to leasing out of the forest land. And there are certain issues raised in this case, whether the court has wrongly inducted Mr. Kamal Nath as a respondent in the present petition, whether the construction activity carried out by the mortal company justified. So let us understand, the Supreme Court applied the doctrine of public interest. So this is very important case law, and this judgment has been repeated this year in CLAT exam. So in this case, the Supreme Court has evolved the doctrine called doctrine of public trust. The doctrine of public trust is an ancient legal doctrine which states that certain common properties such as rivers, seas or forest and the air were held by the government in trusteeship for the free and unimpeded use of the general public. So it is so the government has the ownership to all these natural resources, and it holds in trusteeship for the use of the general public. The court quashed the lease deed by which forested land was leased to the mortal company and held that the construction activity carried out by the mortal company was not justified. The mortal was ordered to pay compensation by way of cost for the restitution of the environmental and ecology of the area. Then the next case is MC Mehta versus Union of India. This is a vehicle pollution case. Union Territory of Delhi has a total population of 96 lakhs, and it might be more as of today. Out of this population, approximately 90 lakh people reside in urban areas. At the time of independence, the population of Delhi was around 5 lakh. In nearly 40 years, it multiplied by 19 times. This writ petition was filed by MC Mehta requesting the court to pass appropriate orders for the reduction of vehicular pollution in Delhi. Supreme Court in this case held that Indian Constitution recognizes the importance of protection of environment, life, flora and fauna by virtue of Article 51A and directive principle of state policy. Therefore, it is a duty of the state to protect the environment, and all the persons using the automobile should have a fair idea of the harmful effects on the environment due to emissions caused by their vehicles. So this case is actually relating to a petition which has been filed to the Supreme Court to seek appropriate orders. Seeking appropriate orders for reduction of vehicular pollution in Delhi. And let us see what the Supreme Court has held in this case. So it has actually set up a committee with the following objectives: to make an assessment of the technologies available for vehicular pollution control in the world, to make an assessment of the current status of technology available in India for controlling vehicular pollution, to look at the low-cost alternatives for operating vehicles at reduced pollution levels in the metropolitan cities, and among others. You can read the same by pausing the video. The next case we will be dealing with Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar and others. So this petition was filed by way of public interest litigation by Subhash Kumar for preventing the pollution of the water of the river Bokaro from discharge of sludge or slurry from the Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited. Although the petition was dismissed, finding no merits in the case, but the Supreme Court has held something very important, and we'll see what it is that. The Apex Court held that the right to get pollution-free water and air is a fundamental right under Article 21. Following this, the right to pollution-free environment was incorporated under the head of right to life, and all the laws courts within the Indian territory were bound to follow. Public health and ecology were held to be priorities under Article 21, and the constitution of a green bench was also ordered by the Supreme Court. The next case is Samit Mehta versus Union of India and others, and it's a national green tribunal case. In this case, an environmentalist filed an application regarding the damage caused by the sinking of a ship which was carrying coal, fuel, oil and diesel. Due to the sinking, a thick oil layer was formed on the surface of the sea which caused damage to the marine ecosystem. So you must have understood so the case has been filed against this ship which was carrying tons of oil, and it actually sinked on the sea, and thereby a thick layer of oil was formed, and it actually formed on the surface of the sea which caused damage to the marine ecosystem. This case was held to involve questions of public importance and significance of environmental jurisprudence. The tribunal noticed that negligence, the sinking of the ship, was a result of the negligence of the respondent. That's what the Supreme Court recognized, and it also upheld the principle of polluter pay. And let us see. The court thereby affirmed the precautionary principle and polluter pays principle. So both of these principles were upheld in this case, and it also recognized that the right to clean environment is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which guarantees protection of life and liberty. And this has been a significant case because the NGT has actually imposed a lump sum fine of rupees 100 crores. And this is one of the biggest compensation ever made by a private entity to government. And then the next case is Miss Betty C. Alvarez versus the state of Goa and others. And again, this case was decided by National Green Tribunal. The a complainant regarding various instances of illegal construction in the coastal regulation zone of Candolim, Goa was made by a personnel of foreign nationality, and this is the reason why this case has significance, because the case is instituted not by a citizen of India but by a foreign national. Her name was Betty Alvarez. The first objection was that Betty Alvarez had no locus standi in the matter because she was not an Indian citizen and thus legally incompetent to file the petition under Article 21. Because a non-citizen, she has not been granted any right under the Indian Constitution. The second objection was that the matter was barred by the law of limitation and should be dismissed. The case was initiated in the Honorable High Court of Bombay in the form of PIL, but by an order dated, it was transferred to National Green Tribunal. So let us see the order of the tribunal. So it is in bold terms said that Betty Alvarez is not a citizen of India. The application is still maintainable as she had filed several other writ petitions and contempt application before she filed the present application. Because before filing this present petition, she has already filed many other related petitions, writ petitions and also contempt petitions, in which she had asserted that the respondent had raised some illegal construction by way of which they were encroaching at the sea beaches along the governmental properties. The court laid down in very bold terms that once it is found that any person can file a proceeding related to the environmental dispute, Miss Betty's application is maintainable without regards to the question of her nationality. So this is the reason why this is a landmark judgment in relation to the foreign nationals' right to institute a petition in the Court of India. Art of Living case on Yamuna floodplain, National Green Tribunal. So this has been decided in the year 2016. The National Green Tribunal held that the Art of Living Foundation of Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, responsible for the alleged damage caused to the Yamuna floodplains due to the World Cultural Festival organized in March 2016. So everybody of most of you know that Mr. Shri Shri Ravi Shankar is actually is a founder of the famous Art of Living Foundation, and he is also a philosopher. An NGT panel found that the organizers of the Art of Living festival violated the environmental norms, and it has severely damaged the floodplain area at the bank of Yamuna River in Delhi. That's what the NGT recognized. Earlier, the government of Delhi and the Delhi Development Authority has permitted the Art of Living festival organizers but it was under some condition. The NGT panel imposed a penalty of rupees 5 crore on Art of Living Foundation as environmental compensation after coming down heavily on the foundation for not disclosing its full plans. So this fine has been imposed due to some environmental violations on the bank of the river Yamuna in Delhi. Save Mon Region Federation and others versus Union of India and others. This case is again decided by National Green Tribunal case. The Save Mon Region Federation on behalf of the Monpa indigenous community of Arunachal Pradesh challenged the environmental clearance granted for the construction of a hydroelectric dam on the Namjang Chu River. The Federation pointed to faults in the environmental impact assessment procedure and a lack of close scrutiny of the project by the expert appraisal committee. The National Green Tribunal concluded it is true that hydel power project provides eco-friendly renewable source of energy and its development is necessary. However, we are of the considered view that such development should be sustainable development without there being any irreparable loss to environment. So what do you mean by sustainable development? So this is actually a principle of human development goals, and it shall be done without compromising to the natural resources. The project was close to a wintering site for a bird black-necked crane, which is included under Schedule 1 species under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It also comes under the Threatened Birds of India literature by the appellants in this country, because the projects where the hydroelectric project is proposed actually actually is a wintering site for the black-necked crane, which is a threatened birds of species under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. It also had other endangered species such as the red panda, snow leopard, etc. The tribunal gave orders to suspend the clearance for the project. It also directed the EAC to make a new proposal for the environmental clearance. The tribunal also directed the Ministry of Environment and Forest in the country to prepare a study on the protection of the bird involved in the case. Then the next case is Al-Mitra H. Patel and others versus Union of India. This case is decided by National Green Tribunal. This case has been the biggest case dealing with the solid waste in India, because in this case there are directions issued by the National Green Tribunal to deal with the issues of solid waste in India. In this case, Mrs. Almitra Patel and another had filed a PIL under Article 32 of the Constitution of India before the Apex Court, whereby the petitioner sought the immediate and urgent improvement in the practices that are presently adopted for the way municipal solid waste or garbage is treated in India. After hearing the case, the tribunal issued over 25 directions. The tribunal asked all the states and UTs to strictly follow and implement the Solid Management Rules 2016. A complete prohibition on open burning of waste on lands was made after the case. Absolute segregation has been made mandatory in waste to energy plants, and landfills should be used for depositing inert waste only are subject to biostabilization within 6 months. The most important direction of the tribunal was a complete prohibition on open burning of waste on lands, including at landfill. This is very important because the Supreme Court after this judgment has prohibited on open burning of waste on lands, including at landfills. So, and the next case is KM Chinnappa, also popularly known as TN Goda Varnam's case. So let us understand. This case dealt with the mining activities in Kudremukh National Park and the corresponding concerns about flora and fauna. The forest in the area were among 18 internationally recognized hotspots for biodiversity conservation in the world. In order to reach its decision, the court, among others, referred to the 1972 Stockholm Declaration of United Nations on Human Environment and Article 48 of the Constitution of India, examined the relevance of environmental law as an instrument of environment protection, analyzed different categories of potential liabilities for non-compliance with environmental regulation, and stressed the general importance of environmental impact assessment. This is important because in this case, Supreme Court, this case has been decided by Supreme Court. In this case, the Supreme Court has stressed on the importance of the environmental impact assessment to be done before a commercial project to be established or to be started. It was also of significance that in the present case, the Forest Advisory Committee, which was established under the Conservation Act, recommended that the mining could be allowed for a period of 4 years, by which time the weathered, secondary or available in the already broken off area should be exhausted. So in this case, the Supreme Court has actually held correct the decision of the Forest Advisory Committee that mining shall be allowed in an area for a period of 4 years until the natural resources get exhausted. In conclusion, the court found no reason to vary the view of the committee. It found it proper to accept the time period fixed by the Forest Advisory Committee. It therefore decided that mining was allowed for the said period. They say it is true. And this was, however, subject to fulfillment of the recommendations made by the committee on ecological aspects. So the next case we will deal with, so this is a very important judgment, Muhammad Salim versus State of Uttarakhand. So first this case has been decided by Uttarakhand and later this decision has been stayed by the Supreme Court. Let us see. On March 20, 2017, the Uttarakhand High Court in the case of Muhammad Salim versus State of Uttarakhand expressed the utmost expediency to give legal status to rivers Ganga and Yamuna as a living person, legal entity in accordance with Articles 48A and 51AG of the Constitution of India. In this case, the High Court of Uttarakhand actually given the legal status to rivers Ganga and Yamuna, and it actually considered as a living person, legal entity. The order issued in exercise of parens patria, which means authority regarded as legal protector of citizens who are unable to protect themselves. So, under this power, the High Court has held recognized the status, legal status of Ganga and Yamuna, the rivers called Ganga and Yamuna. The rivers Ganga and Yamuna, all their tributary streams, every natural water flowing with flow continuously or intermittently of these rivers are declared as juristic legal person. That means they are considered as living entities, having the status of a legal person with all corresponding rights, duties and liabilities of a legal person in order to preserve and conserve river Ganga and Yamuna. This decision gained wide popularity across the world as India became the second in the world after New Zealand to declare river as a living entity. But despite the popular approval of the verdict, the Apex Court in a subsequent special leave petition filed by the government of Uttarakhand stayed the order of the High Court. So this has been the session and I hope you all have liked it. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Till we meet the next time, thank you and have a nice day.